Okay, so next is your next one is self-critiquing. Okay, this is so when you finish writing a prompt, okay, it's important you go through the critique process yourself to understand if you've done the, if you've gotten the point across quickly enough. So this rubric will help you get started. Okay, make sure after you finish writing for any prompt, make sure you're original. Is there a unique message? This is almost like before you even start writing, write the message you want to communicate about yourself. And when you read afterwards, or ask somebody else, what message are you getting out of my prompt? Let them tell you what message is it communicating about you. Okay, and then you will know, is it communicating what you thought it will communicate? You'll be surprised how the different the things are. Okay, does it sound more like you? Are you sounding enthusiastic and interested about the college? Very important. They're not looking for sob stories and negative Nancy's. Okay, punctuations, clear purpose, style. Okay, are you using are your sentence repetitive? Can't let that happen. Okay, make sure your style is
Hey,
similar.
Harpal, you're not screen sharing.
Oh, da. Thank you. I did not realize that. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. Okay. So self-reflections after every prompt are super critical. Having clear purpose, relativity to the prompt. Okay. If you're answering a question, make sure, what are the difference between a personal statement versus a supplemental versus a COVID essay versus one which says about your personal, there is one prompt in Common App. So every one of them has a flavor, a style. Okay. But the style that you have, make sure your style stays similar across the essays. Like, for example, if you are writing, like I will make my students put one document for all the essays of that school, including the Common App, okay? Because I want to see end to end, is the flow, is the style the same? I could have written one prompt 10 days ago. The second prompt could be 3 days ago. My thinking evolves over time. Everything has to fall in play, okay? That's very critical. Okay, all right. Is this overall paper being quality? I mean, think of it. A lot of stuff comes, is it being quality that I'm putting in over here? Substance, have I answered the question that you asked me? Because many times they forget it, okay? Did you back up every point you made with some example? Very important to give personal examples. If you're not doing it, it sounds like a lecture. And most of these students go off on a rant, okay? Have you been specific and detailed about the details, what I'm looking for? Could anyone else have written this? Even in your own school, could anybody else have written this essay? Is it unique enough? Does it have meat, substance? If there's one thing pick up out of this presentation is substance. Does it have enough substance? What does it say about me? Before in the brainstorming, we ask you to talk about your values, okay? Are those values being shown over here in your essays, okay? Does it sound like me who's writing this thing? Is it, am I sounding too uptight? Am I sounding too elitist about this thing? Okay. Is it too generic? What about this essay makes it memorable? Ask somebody, what will you remember? So, you just read this essay, ask them after 10 minutes, hey, you read that essay. Do you remember anything what I'd written? And wait, see what happens. Okay. Structure. Okay. Make sure in the, overall structure, each paragraph should have a theme of its own. Okay. Do your thoughts flow naturally? Okay. Every so often you'll realize you'll start an essay, you write something in the beginning, then later, and then you kind of move some essay, some topic in between. If it's not flowing, you'll see it. And the best way to do it is to write in the night, wake up in the morning and say, okay, is it flowing? Okay. You will see your own thinking changes just in the night. Okay. Does my conclusion draw naturally from previous paragraph? Go through that structural process. Okay. Did I use words that are not part of my vocabulary? So get rid of them. If it's not you, forget it. Okay. Are you using active voice wherever you can? Have I overused these adverbs? Okay. Cliches, don't have them. If you see redundancies, this happens a lot. Like three sentences will say the same thing. Okay. Get rid of that. Okay. Are you sounding interesting? Very important. Okay. Because if you're not sounding interesting, you are sounding boring. When somebody is reading your essay, are they getting a smile on their face? Is their eyes, look at the eye expression. So if it's changing, like, oh, look at their body expression changing. If they're like, holy crap, what is this try writing? Give it up. Okay. Did you leave the reader with a sense of completeness? Did you make the reader feel complete? Did he learn something new about you, which he could perhaps apply in his own life? Okay. Remember, those things are very important. Proofreading, this is not, earth-shattering to understand. Don't have exclamation points anywhere. Semicolons are important. You can put their subjects, agreement in the verbs. Keep your contradictions low. You don't want to get into that, okay? Did I replace the name of the proper school in every application, okay? If you're just changing names, you have serious problems already, okay? Have you caught every single typo? After you finish writing an essay and you're done, you should be the only one who has access to that document. And even for your own self, put yourself as a commentator, not as an editor of the document. So even you know what you're doing is right or wrong, okay? Okay, all right, so do that. This is the assessment, what you do of your content, okay? These are the 5 points. Everything to check for content, say, did I have an engaging beginning? Did I focus on specifics? Was my story interesting? Every time you write an essay, go through these rubrics, right? Do the self-assessment. Have somebody in your family say, is this topic important enough to the student? Okay. Was the conclusion good enough? Make sure you go. Make sure you have your parents look at this. This is where parents can become important part of the framework. Okay. Follow a coherent parent pattern of organization, have a beginning, ending, demonstrates paragraphing, transitional words, nonetheless. However, stuff like that. Did you do a good job of that, right? Have somebody mark it off over here for you. Same thing for vocabulary. Did you use clear, correct sentence structures? Sentences should not be more than 10 words, guys. Maximum 9 to 10 words. Anything more than 10 words, you lose people. I've seen sentences like going into four lines. Okay, distinctive voice that communicates your personality. Okay, very important. On conventions, are you using, this is okay, but be careful of capitalization, punctuations, essays need to be neatly by margins. Okay, very careful about that. Okay, so that one is also